Today we are going to offer the procession of icons for the Sunday of Orthodoxy, following Blessed be the name of the Lord in divine liturgy. On this Sunday, we commemorate the restoration of the venerable and holy icons, which was accomplished in the days of Saint Methodius the Confessor in the year 843. The persecution of the iconophile occurred officially in two waves, from 726 to 780 and from 814 to 843. This restoration, again after the two waves of persecution, was ratified by Emperor Michael and his mother Theodora, who reinstated the veneration of the icons in all the churches throughout the ecumeny. By venerating the icons, we manifest that the honor is not rendered to the wood, but it passes over to the prototype. In his incarnation, passion, crucifixion, and resurrection, Christ is the first and foremost prototype to whom alone we render worship. When God became flesh, he became visible and tangible. He became circumscribed and therefore portrayable like any human being. He who in his own divinity is uncircumscribable, accepts circumscription natural to his own body. Otherwise, we would deny that the Word became flesh. And since Christ has a genuine human nature, he is venerated in his icon. If Christ cannot be portrayed, then either he lacks a genuine human nature, as the Docetics claim, or his human nature is swallowed up by his divinity, as many or the Eutychian monophysites claim. For this reason we chant today, I'll quote, "Thou didst not in fancy and mere thought appear, as say man sees God opposing suns, but in the nature of the flesh, in very truth, wast thou seen on earth," unquote. The Logos assumed a human nature in general, not a human person. Therefore, Christ's human nature cannot be portrayed as nature, but only as a divine hypostasis who became man and gave himself up for the salvation of mankind. On the other hand, we believe that the archetype and the image are not the same thing, because the one is truth and the other is shadow. Thus, the divinity of Christ is not present in the icons by a union of natures, because they are not deified flesh, but a relative participation, because they share in the grace and honor. Therefore, we venerate all the icons, considering them to be representations of their original elements, and they are not idols. As his sacrificial love is called to remembrance during the Great Lent, we do not venerate the wood, but Christ himself, the second hypostasis of the Trinity, we do not venerate the material of the cross, but Him who is the love, who gave Himself up to bestow upon His divine love. Saint Maximus the Confessor states, quote, in taking on human nature, the incarnate Word becomes an image of God, and by virtue of His divine nature, He is the archetype of that image, so becomes an image of Himself, unquote. As you carry the icons today, you are called to be imitators of Jesus Christ and imitators of those heroes who went to their martyrdom as if they are going to their wedding. As you carry your icons in the procession, you are reminded that you are created according to the image and likeness of God. However, our mind became darkened as the result of the fall. Therefore, we are reminded today that we are surrounded by a cloud of witnesses. Our spiritual eyes will open through their sacred icons, and thereby promotes a relationship with God through a nous which has been purified from passions. We are granted a choice to be restored on a path toward holiness relative to God's plan of salvation. It is through the three-stage spiritual discipline of holiness through purification, illumination, and theosis that every human being is able to freely choose to follow a curative model in an ascent to theosis. The brave acts of the saints and their unconditional love to Christ are portrayed in the holy icons to awaken our souls and lead us to emulate their courageous love and to glorify God. The saints, both men and women, who are depicted come from around different nations, representing the Catholicity of the Church communion. But this communion is expressed in diversity of culture, language, race, and traditions. The unity in diversity is a gift of God to the one holy Catholic and Apostolic Church. There are rich, diverse expressions of Christian life in the traditions and cultures that we represent, and in the diversity of our students at the Antiochian House of Studies. In this Holy Land, Christ is summoning you to follow the saints' admonitions and to emulate their love to Christ the bridegroom. Let us prepare ourselves to receive Him and to love Him with all our being, so that we shine brightly with virtues and knowledge, so that we may be ready to enter with Him into the wedding feast. For being God, He grants on all imperishable crowns. Amen.